It is time. Hi, this is Scott. Welcome to Tall Woodworker. In this video, I'm finally going to get started taking care of setting up this garage as my shop. It's been almost a year now, and I really haven't done anything in here except for clean it out for wintertime. We've been parking our cars here for the past few months, and well, we have a weekend right now where it's a little bit warmer, and there's a lot of stuff I want to take care of before I start using this as a shop. So come along and let me show you what I'm going to be doing here. All right, so one thing that's kind of always bothered me about this garage is this wall right here. It's basically no insulation, nothing. It's just siding. If you look over here, well, all the way up there, there is drywall on every other part of this garage except for this area here next to this window and below the window. So I'd like to take care of this. Now I've been using this corner for a lot of tool storage, so I'm gonna have to try to figure something different to do about this, but I have a feeling that just putting some form of drywall, OSB, whatever on top of this, I'll still be able to use that for that type of storage. But basically, want to get the insulation done here. I also need to get some insulation done above the garage door. There's cavities here where you can see the siding, and that's about it. Another thing I need to take care of is this corner of the ceiling right here is drooping pretty dramatically. If I take this pole and stick it up here, you can see there's quite a bit of play in there. That was a good, what, like 5-6 inches? So I'm gonna see if I can do anything to kind of hoist this up a bit better. There's a crack in the drywall here. I'll have to see if anything can be done about that, but as you can see right here, there's an issue that flows through the entire garage. And that issue is, not only is the ceiling this ugly brown color, which I want to make white, but there's other areas of my drywall in the ceiling that are kind of coming apart a bit. Now, I don't really want to take care of re-drywalling this entire garage. I have an idea for taking care of the ceiling that hopefully will work and make this a somewhat better place to work in. I have a few other areas that are going to be some challenges on the ceiling, such as right here where my garage door supports come out. This is basically just drywall. These go way up into the attic space to bolt in, so they're still secure. I also have this hatchway above my head that I've been meaning to replace because I'm too big to stand on it. So I've been wanting to replace this anyway. I'm gonna have to find some way around that. But I think right now the first thing I'm gonna do is put my solution for taking care of the seams in between the drywall and the ceiling. I'm adding some drywall above the window to complete that section. But then I immediately move to fixing the sunk corner of the ceiling. I'm using a closet rod and a floor jack to raise up the ceiling until it looks about level. Then I screw in some 2x4 studs to support the drywall. Now time to hang the beams. I put a laser line on the seam between the drywall sheets. I use that along with a line drawn halfway across the board. Then I screw the board up into the rafters above. I'm using a cleat at the other end to help me hold the board in place. Here you can see the gap immediately close up once the board is screwed in. Now I just finish up the run all the way across the ceiling. I had 4 runs in total that I needed to do across the entire garage. Next, I begin cleaning out the corner to prep for insulation and drywall. Little pro tip, if you ever get one of these string trimmers that has a detachable end, don't get rid of these protective covers. Why? Because they do a really good job of hanging your tools. So when you start expanding the line, you have a way to hang them. Luckily I found some replacements on Amazon, so yeah, don't get rid of these. So here's a little trick I picked up, I think from back in the day when I used to watch a lot of this old house with my dad. When you cut insulation, there's actually a really easy way to do it. I've already marked where the length is that I need. Best way to do it, just take a board, place it on your cut line, and make your cut. Okay, that cut wasn't perfect, but it was straight, so I was happy. Alright, this portion of the video is not sponsored. Alright, I just really like this system and I want to talk about it. So, you may have noticed that before, I used to have a lot of gardening tools, rakes, my leaf blower, all that stuff mounted on the wall. Now that was done using some of this, the Rubbermaid Fast Track system. This stuff is really cool. It's got a metal plate that you screw into your studs, put the plastic cover on it for it to make it look pretty, and then you have these tool holders that just snap right on and lock in place. The newer ones have these quick release levers that help you pull it off a lot easier. The older ones, you kind of have to just yank it off. So I want to continue using something like this, but A, this is too small for this wall. But B, this is also an older version of the Fast Track. And the way that I found that out, only by buying a new version of it, this one doesn't have a lot of holes for mounting to. So I got this 7-foot span of track, but what I really like about this is there are holes every inch down the entire span of the bar. Now this may only be something for the 7-foot version and maybe not the 4-foot version. I might pick up a 4-foot version just to test it out. But what I want to do is I'm going to mark where every single stud is in relationship to one of these holes. That way, when I go and put this thing back on the wall after I drywall it, I will know I can send screws into those specific holes and be dead on perfect and know that I'm getting good stud contact with this. Marking out this bar made it super easy to install later, but there was actually another trick that helped me out, and I'll get to that in a bit. Getting the first sheet of drywall up was not easy. I really recommend doing this with someone else, but I actually just ended up using a 2x4 screwed into the wall to help support the weight. I just created a story stick that has all the studs in it. Why am I not using that? Alright, look, professional contractors, I'm sure you're really good at this. I'm not a professional contractor, so don't at me too much. But I just realized I'm having a really hard time figuring out the location of the studs. This is actually a little bit, this is probably on the edge of the stud when I just did my measurement. But I just remembered, I created a story stick. I can easily map out the studs just by putting this thing up on the wall. Sure enough, this made it a lot easier, and I got every screw in a stud going forward. It was rinse and repeat for the sheet of drywall underneath that first piece, as well as the one underneath the window. You might notice that there is a board underneath the sheet of drywall. This is to act as a spacer. You don't want your drywall to touch the concrete. Doing so can allow moisture to soak up into the drywall and ruin it. You should have a small gap around the perimeter between the concrete and your drywall. You know, I really have to say, it's just a bunch of green drywall right now, but I'm so glad I am doing this. This looks immensely better than it did before with the cavity in the wall. Obviously, I've got a long way to go. I've got a lot of taping, spackling, all that stuff. Look, it's bad enough I showed you how I hang drywall, and I'm sure I did this wrong. Like I said, leave helpful suggestions in the comments. Don't be like, oh, you did it wrong. Look, I know I probably did it wrong, but I'm happy with the way it looks, so I'm good. So I will be painting this at some point, but first I have to go through and do a heck of a lot of taping and spackling, and I'm not going to show that. Go look for some other YouTube channel for spackling advice. This is supposed to be a woodworking channel. What am I doing here? Hanging drywall and taping and all this other stuff.
Several days later.
There you go. One wall, well, 2/3 of a wall of my garage transformation complete, plus about 2/5 of my ceiling also complete. Notice how I'm not pointing the camera that way, because that way still is a complete disaster. But we're going to be getting to that, and you'll probably be seeing that shortly. But yeah, I'm really happy. Got all my tools mounted up on the wall, all my gardening tools. This has nothing to do with woodworking, but it has to do with woodworking and the fact that I need to do this to create the workshop. So not having too much fun with the creation portion, but hopefully at some point we'll actually do some woodworking in here. But yeah, got everything up here on the wall, super happy. Now we can start bringing things over to this side to fix up that side. All right, this is it. This is what stands between me and relaunching my channel. This whole wall basically needs to be emptied. I need to take everything off of here, put it off to the side so that I can put some new storage up here, paint this wall, new workbench, all sorts of stuff like that. So I've been dreading this, which is why I've been doing that back wall or that other side wall so frequently. Now it's time to take care of this mess. Here we go. No one wants to see me take things off a wall, so in no time we go from this to this to this and finally to this. Yes, this is the same wall you just saw. At this point, most of the walls and ceiling have been painted an off-white color and new lights installed throughout the ceiling. It's now super bright in this shop. Now, I'm gonna be honest, at this point, I was starting to get a little tired of this project, so I wanted to bring things to a close. I'm installing some pegboard to act as my primary tool organization. This is some nice steel pegboard, so it is actually super sturdy, not like that hardboard stuff you typically end up seeing. I just mounted it to a few studs and it was good to go. The second piece just went directly on top of the first one. So now it's time to address the elephant in the room, or in this case the big empty white wall in the room. I want to put French cleats up here just like I did in my old shop. So if you look right over here, and if you remember from my old shop, these are the French cleat walls that I used to have hanging. Obviously this one is up on its end. Now unfortunately this piece is pretty much unusable because there's the large cutout in here that I made, and my slat walls actually fit in here from the old shop. There's a possibility I might be able to turn this up and hang it above the pegboards that I just hung, but I want to save that space for cabinets, and I never really had a lot of good stuff to hang in this upper area. So we're going to repurpose this piece, which was the bottom portion. Now, there's a problem. A, it's much too long to fit up here, so I'm going to be using a new tool of mine to fix that. And B, there is a square hole right here. This actually used to be where an electrical outlet sat in my old shop. So I'm gonna have to make a patch for that. But for the most part, we're just gonna reuse the stuff. I'm gonna take the cleats off of this panel and apply them to here because I never really put any of the cleats on below. You know, I have about 5 cleats on here. I figured I was never gonna get down that low in my old shop, but this is gonna be hung up higher, so we'll fill it up with these cleats. So let's take these off, cut this thing down, and see what we can do about hanging it up. Today I join YouTube royalty. I have a track saw. Okay, it's not the most highest end track saw there is, but you know what? Saw enough reviews on it, decided I liked it, decided to give it a shot. And the whole system was on sale. So no more edge clamp guides for me. Now I just measure my cut lines, place the track and clamps, and gets to cutting. This piece is even heavier than that drywall from earlier, but I can use the same technique of using a board as a cleat to support the sheet while I screw it into every stud. After screwing in the rest of the cleats, I can start hanging up my tool holders. Take a step back and admire the work I've done. And there it is. that is quite a bit of a garage transformation, if I do say so myself. I'm not 100% sold yet on the pegboard. I might go back to my slat wall at some point, but for now, I'll keep the pegboard. I'm not going to change that out. Spent too much time on this to go changing things. I am so happy I was able to recycle my old French cleat wall from my previous shop. This looks great up here. Obviously, I still have plenty of room to add more tool storage up here. Still need to add one more cleat down here at the bottom, but this looks great. Now, here's a question I have for you. This has been I don't want to say a debate, but just a few questions. Like, get different opinions, and I want to hear what you have to think. Do I leave this bare wood? Do I paint either the backer board or the backer board and the cleats white to match the wall? Or, my wife actually thought of something, what if I paint this whole thing black, leave the tool holders bare wood? I do still need to do cabinets overhead and cabinet to the right side of this pegboard. So whatever I do, I would kind of want that whole thing to match. So let me know what you think. I don't want it to be too bright on this side because if I do use it for a backdrop, I'm afraid that it might have some overexposure. I don't want to... I don't necessarily know if I want to do white everywhere on this wall because I do plan on using it for a backdrop for my videos. So would that create too much of an overexposure? You'd have to let me know what you think, basically looking at the white areas of the wall. For right now, I still don't have a workbench. That is going to be a future video. I will be using this adjustable assembly table for right now. It's not the perfect solution, but you know what? It works for what I need to use it for right now. My plan is to have a work surface pretty much not all the way to the corner because I do have to make sure the electrical panel is accessible, but I plan on having a meatier workbench right here and then a smaller extension surface here that I might put other tools on, and so on and so forth. Some of these pieces may have to move because of that, but that's kind of an idea. And still have to make a table saw cart. Still want to remake my shop vac cart. I might be either redoing or disassembling my flip cart. That was a Fisher's Shop video that I built that off of. So lots of things going forward. There still is the disaster that is this wall that you don't see, and I don't want you to see right now. There's a lot of shelving, a lot of tools piled up over here. Have no idea what I'm going to do over there. And behind you, this wall is still, the corner is still not finished, so I don't know if I'm going to make videos based on that, but just so in case in the background you see things changing, you know why. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video. And again, leave a comment down below. What do you think I should do with this cleat wall? Leave it, paint it white, paint it black. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.